Hey everybody, today I'm going to do my top 10 least favorite demons in Geometry Dash, so I hope you all enjoy. Now before I start the list, I just want to say that this list is not objectively the top 10 worst Geometry Dash demons, these are just the ones I had the worst experience with, so this is all just my personal opinion. In fact, there are some levels on here that a lot of people like, so yeah, let's just get into the list. Alright, number 10 is Theory of Skrillex. I've never understood why this level was popular because I just don't see how anybody could find the gameplay fun. Now, admittedly, the first section is the worst part of the level, which is probably good, but the rest of the level is still pretty bad. In fact, the only really fun part I had was that mini-wave part with the flashing lights. There's not much to say about this one, I just don't think it's that fun at all. The only reason I don't have it higher on the list is that it's pretty easy and somewhat consistent, so yeah. Number 9 is Resurrection. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't a terrible level, but it has so many little flaws that they all add up. For example, a ton of the transitions in the level are really bad. Another thing is that the difficulty pacing isn't that good, as in a lot of the hardest parts are in the last part of the level, which isn't objectively bad, it's just something that I really don't like when the hardest parts are at the end of the level. I don't know why this one's a medium demon because it is way too hard for it. But yeah, that's why it's my number 9. Number 8 is Milk Party Hype. This level has the same problems as Theory of Skrillex, but they're just worse, and that's really bad gameplay. The gameplay, again, isn't horrendously bad or anything, but my god, the level is not fun. A lot of the parts of the level are also very inconsistent, at least for me they are, which is why I really just don't like this one. Number 7 for me is Left Zero. Now, Left Zero seems kind of cool at first because, it's just a layout, but it has extremely cool effects. But once you actually play the level, you see how annoying the gameplay is. The gameplay is at best kind of mediocre, and at worst, just terrible. The beginning, admittedly, is much worse than the end, but there is a problem with the end. In Geometry Dash, the song is not allowed for use, and the ending part relies on the song to make sure you know when the transition is coming. This makes the level a lot harder, and honestly makes the part a lot less fun. The song he chose for the level as well is just terrible. I don't really know what he was thinking on that part. Number 6 is Supersonic. I have never liked Supersonic, and I am so glad it's done. Supersonic is just aggravating because there are so many bad parts. Now, the beginning of the level is not that bad, however, it gets horrible near the second half of the level. There's an extremely inconsistent duel, there's the ball maze at the end, and then the ship part at the end is also not that good. Well, actually, no, the ship part isn't that bad, but I died there twice at 97%, so I'm still mad about that. And in general, I just don't like Supersonic because, one, it's an extremely hard level, but the gameplay is terrible in my opinion, which is why it's in my number 6. Number 5 is Ultimate Demon Mix. Now, Ultimate Demon Mix was made at the end of the 1.9 update to kind of celebrate a lot of the levels that came out. The only issue is that in this compilation level, he chose some of the worst parts of the levels he chose. For example, the Golden Haze part is abysmal. I don't know why he'd choose that part of the level. The Supersonic part, he used that straight fly section, which really sucks, but he didn't build it correctly, so it's a bit buffed. At the end of the level, he uses the beginning of Windy Landscape, which is by far the hardest and most inconsistent part of the level, and it's just really not that fun. This wouldn't be that bad if the level wasn't 3 minutes, and because of how long it is, it just starts to get aggravating, especially once you get to the Supersonic and Windy Landscape parts. So yeah, that's why it's number 5. My number 4 spot goes to Goodbye 2. The issue with Goodbye 2 is, well, obviously it's gameplay. However, its gameplay is a bit weird. The first half of the level is dedicated to pretty precise timings, and the second half of the level is dedicated to almost nothing but triple spikes. As you can see, that doesn't make for a very good level. There's not much to say about this level, to be perfectly honest, because it's just so simple, but it's so bad at the same time. So yeah, that's why it's in my number 4 spot. Number 3 goes to Dem Travel. Dem Travel is a 6-minute level made for the sake of being a 6-minute level. Almost none of the level is fun, and it wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't 6 minutes. Now, Lonely Travel is one of my favorite levels in the game, so why do I not like this one that much? Well, again, it's because the gameplay is just aggravating half the time. The gameplay is usually just really boring and not fun to play through. Again, not helped by the extremely long time it takes to beat the level. So yeah, that's why it's in my number 3. Number 2 for me is Stereo Demon this. I don't really understand this level, to be perfectly honest. It's weird because a lot of it isn't even that bad. It's mostly just the beginning and like some parts of the end that are really bad, but it just ruins the level so much that it just sucks. Most of the level isn't that fun either way, but those parts amplify that a lot, which is why it's in my number 2. Now, before I get to number 1, I'm going to do some honorable mentions really quick. Alright, Serious, I would put on here, but in all honesty, it wasn't that bad. I'm just not a fan of Memory, to be honest, and the level has a lot of it. Death Funk is not that bad, I just had some issues playing it when I originally did like 3 years ago, so I don't really care that much anymore. Windings is one of the worst map pack levels, however it's not that hard and it's really not terrible, I guess. So yeah, it's not on the list because of that. I used to hate Insanity with a passion, however when I replay it now, when I'm better at the game, it's really fun actually for the most part. I still wouldn't call it a good level, but it's not a bad level either. Death Step is another really hard map pack level, but again, it's not that hard and goes by pretty quickly. It's just a harder version of Club Step, to be honest, so it's not that bad. PG Club Step is the same. It's basically the same thing as Death Step. This one is actually the hardest level in the map packs, but it's still not that bad. Golden Haves I was just going to put on here because of that one mini-cube section at the start of the level, but to be honest, the rest of the level is pretty decent, so I didn't. The dungeon is the best example of just a poorly made level I could think of, but I don't think it's as bad as the other 10 I put on here, and to be honest, is a little bit more fun, so I didn't put it on. Hazardous Sanctuary, I used to hate a lot, but again, it's the same thing with Insanity, it's just really easy to me now, so I don't really care that much anymore. Finally, Collaboration. This is going to be the original number 10 spot, but I realized that the only bad part of the level is the ship at the end, and even though that part is terrible, the rest of the level is honestly fine, and it shouldn't give you too much trouble. And finally, the number 1 spot for the worst demon I've ever played in Geometry Dash goes to Zephyr's Madness. I cannot describe how much I hate this level. It's not fun any of the way through. The ending is so much worse than the beginning, which again, I've already said that I really don't like, and is so incredibly inconsistent that none of it is good. The first section of the level is not that hard, and you can practice it enough to where you get good at it. But then you get to the ship section. The ship section isn't incredibly difficult either, but it is so incredibly annoying. Dying here was very common, and it honestly just sucked so much when I did. And then we have the last third or half of the level, just the rest of the level. The rest of the level is so inconsistent because of these insanely precise jumps you have to do. You'll sometimes get it, you'll sometimes won't. At that point, it's just kind of luck. And then the last ship section kind of sucks because there's straight fly at the end, but it's pretty easy, so it's not that bad. But yeah, that's why it's my least favorite level in the game, and I'm really surprised that I actually even beat it and didn't quit. So yeah, that was my top 10 list on the worst levels I've played in Geometry Dash. I hope you all enjoyed. I can't really play Geometry Dash right now because my computer killed itself, so yeah, I'll see you next time.